Hey friends, it's Dimitri with Rubashka Streetwear. So today I want to talk about something that can affect your brand in a negative or a positive way, and that is other brands. So typically when you start out, one thing that you might do is you might have one or two or a handful of brands that you really like and admire, and you're inspired to create your own. And this is a common thing. This is how I got started. There was several brands that I just really looked up to, and designers. I liked their artwork and the pieces that they made. And when I was making my first, several pieces, designs, there was definitely an aspect of it that was inspired by those previous designers and their brands, although the concept of itself was still pretty original and new, but you could definitely tell that there was some inspiration. And for a while, I kind of, was still doing that. I basically had my personal Instagram account, and then I had my business one with my clothing page. But on my personal one, I was definitely following lots of streetwear pages, brands, and designers, and I would love to look at what they do, and I would constantly get a feed and of reference material or stuff that I like, obviously, and that would definitely affect the way that I would design and what I'm trying to make. Or maybe this designer made a cool like a bag or something, and then in a few months I would make a bag too, because it would kind of remind me, or I'd think about that. So definitely when you're making your clothing brand, that's something that you have to look out for. And be careful to not sort of copy or get too wrapped up in other brands and what they are doing. What you really want to do is you want to focus on your vision and your goal, and be very focused on that in general. Now, I wouldn't recommend totally shutting yourself off from the world and not being aware of what other brands are doing, because other brands and designers, they do have good ideas. They do bring good new things to the market, and new trends are started. And, playing along with that and being inspired from time to time and kind of knowing what's going on in your industry is obviously important. So I would not recommend doing that. And to kind of a little bit, what's interesting is that since I haven't been on like personal social media for about a year and a half right now, and I've definitely noticed that there's kind of this disconnect with what other brands are doing right now at the moment. And I think that I will, kind of spend a little bit of time seeing exactly what's going on, because I'm curious at this point in my brand development. But yeah, that's just some advice for you guys. Try to find your own voice and don't get too wrapped up into what other people are doing. And this kind of goes on to another big point, that's trends. So I think that following along with trends can be good, but if you get too wrapped up in that, it can also be damaging to your brand, because your brand will kind of look exactly like a lot of other brands, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with taking aspects of a trend, or let's just say, for example, like I remember one time, tan hoodies were like very popular for like a season, and like a lot of brands were releasing their own tan hoodies. That is something that's totally a reasonable trend to follow. Maybe you make a tan hoodie with your design or your logo on it, and people like it. Obviously go along with that, because people are looking for that sort of colorway, and that's popular at the moment. But there's other trends that you can definitely tell if like one brand is like totally just like copying another brand, and they're just taking all of the reference material and kind of rehashing something, and it doesn't really look good and original to your brand. And another thing that I would avoid doing as well with trends is that if you follow a trend that is totally out of character for your brand, it's not in line with your values and visions, it doesn't feel like your brand, and it kind of feels not authentic. It feels like you're being a phony. You should not go along with that kind of trend. There's definitely been trends or collaborations or people that have reached out to me to want to do stuff, and it maybe would have been a good marketing idea, or it would have been a good way to make money, but I've said no to some opportunities that have come over the years simply because it's not authentic to what I'm trying to do, or maybe I disagree with certain aspects of a brand's values, because I do have certain barriers to my brand where I won't do certain things. Like, for instance, you won't ever see me putting profanity on any of my clothing pieces, or nudity, or stuff like that. Really stuff that I just disagree with. Although there's definitely been streetwear brands that have done stuff like that, where they're very provocative and edgy and do stuff like that. So you, like, for instance, you'll never see me do that. And if someone wanted to do that with me, a collaboration, no matter how big they were, I would not do that, because it's just not real to who I am and to what my brand's trying to be. So that's just an example as well. If you want to follow in line of trends, or you're trying to emulate another brand, make sure that's true to your brand, and don't be like a fake and a phony with that kind of thing. And I think that's important, to have sort of your brand values and your vision, and make sure that things align with that. And that kind of, leads back to the other point. If you want to collaborate with other designers and other brands, make sure that you are, you're not going to see eye to eye with everything with another brand, but make sure that you are, have somewhat a shared vision and values, and your audience profiles are, somewhat the same. I think that will make for a good collaboration if you get to that stage with your brand. But yeah, that's just some thoughts on trends, values, collaborations, and really finding your voice and your values and your brand, and what you want your brand to be. You want to make your brand what you want it to be, and be careful of being influenced and making certain decisions based off what other brands are doing. Because I've been thinking about that for a while, being careful not to be too close to other brands. I want to do my thing, and I'm gonna say yes to certain things and no to certain things, depending on what way I want to carry my brand and exactly what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, your brand is your own. It's no one else's, and you should figure out exactly what you want to do with it. So yeah, if you guys got any value with this video, or if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.